I knew something was wrong the moment I saw her at the door, standing there with a suitcase that had clearly seen better days. Her eyes, once the windows to the warmth of our shared life, were clouded, distant, and desperate. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just let her stand there, letting the silence stretch between us like a rope too tight to escape. 6 months earlier, she had made a choice that shattered everything I believed we were. I still remember that night vividly. The way her smile had betrayed her intentions, the way I had felt my stomach sink as if the ground beneath me had given way. She had chosen another man, leaving me in the ruins of our marriage with nothing but questions, heartbreak, and the cold reminder that love sometimes isn't enough. Her name is Laura. We met when I was 28, she 25. There was an ease in her laughter that drew me in, and a subtle intelligence that made every conversation feel like a private dance of minds. We married 2 years later, after the kind of whirlwind romance that felt like it was written in the stars. But as years passed, the stars dimmed, clouded by complacency, unspoken resentments, and moments of vulnerability neither of us dared to voice. It wasn't dramatic at first. It was subtle, like a slow leak in a tire that you don't notice until the car swerves violently. Late nights at work, whispered phone calls, fleeting glances at messages I wasn't meant to see. The distance grew quietly, so quietly that I only recognized it once it had become a canyon between us. I confronted her once, timidly, hoping to salvage something I still held dear. She laughed. Not the laugh I remembered, soft and teasing, but a brittle, cutting laugh that left me trembling. "It's not like you notice me anyway," she had said, eyes flicking away. I remember the sting, how my chest tightened, how disbelief mixed with the ache of betrayal. But I stayed. I stayed because, despite everything, I loved her. And maybe I believed love could undo choices, rewrite history, or at least soften the pain. The truth came crashing down one evening at a friend's wedding. I had noticed her texting someone repeatedly, a nervous habit she never had before. I followed the small trail, a tiny spark of suspicion burning in my chest. And there he was. Her lover, a man I barely knew, but one who now occupied the space in her heart that I thought was ours alone. I didn't confront her that night. I left quietly, walking out under the moonlight, feeling every step as if it were a blade cutting through my own skin. For months, I retreated into silence. I cancelled plans, avoided mutual friends, and let my world shrink to the size of my apartment and my thoughts. People asked if I was okay. I lied and said I was fine. Inside I was crumbling. There were nights I curled up in our bed, the space cold and empty, and I could almost hear her laughter with him echoing off the walls. Sleep became a stranger, and when it did come, it brought nightmares I didn't want to wake from. And then, one rainy evening, as I sat in the dim light of my kitchen nursing a cup of black coffee, the sound of the doorbell startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, reluctantly, I walked to the door, and there she was. Laura, soaked to the bone, looking smaller somehow, more fragile than I remembered. Her eyes were pleading, and her lips trembled as if each word she had rehearsed had crumbled before reaching me. I need to talk to you," she whispered. I didn't move. I didn't answer. I wanted to say something cruel, something that would make her regret the months of betrayal, but the words lodged in my throat. "Please," she said, taking a tentative step forward. "I know I hurt you. I know I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life." A laugh, bitter, ironic, pained, escaped me. "A mistake. You left me, Laura. You left us for him. For what? A better apartment? A fancier car? Or just because he made you feel alive?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't like that. It was never about him. I lost myself. I thought I wanted something else, but I realized that I was running away from us, from me, and in the process I threw away the only person who ever truly loved me. I wanted to believe her. Part of me did. But years of hurt and betrayal aren't undone by confessions, no matter how sincere. I thought about all the nights I had cried alone, all the moments I had imagined my life without her, and found it emptier than I could bear. Months, I said finally, voice tight, brittle. Months you were gone. Months I tried to piece myself together without you. And now you show up, thinking that words can fix what you broke. She nodded, swallowing hard. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't know why I'm here except that I can't keep living with this regret. You're the one I love. The one I always loved. I didn't see it at the time. I stared at her. The woman who had once been my whole world was standing in front of me, a stranger wearing my memories like a second skin. I could see the truth in her eyes, but I also saw the selfishness that had driven her away. Pain, love, regret, all tangled in a way I didn't know how to untangle. I don't know if I can trust you, I said finally, my voice softer now, though still laced with pain. You've already broken me once. How do I know you won't do it again? Tears streamed down her face. You don't. I can't promise that I'll never falter. But I can promise that I've spent every day since I left realizing that losing you, losing us, is the only thing I've ever truly feared. I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I can be the man I was supposed to be with you. Her words hung in the air, fragile and trembling. I wanted to reach for her, to pull her into my arms and dissolve all the hurt with one desperate embrace. But a wall of self-preservation had risen between us, brick by brick, over the months of absence and betrayal. I closed the door slowly, leaving her standing there in the rain. I didn't slam it, didn't shout, didn't cry. I just stood there, breathing, trying to steady the storm inside me. And then I heard her whisper, barely audible over the drizzle. Please, don't shut me out forever. The following days were a careful dance of cautious conversations, tentative meetings, and an almost unbearable tension between hope and fear. I watched her struggle to rebuild the trust she had shattered, saw the guilt etched into every line of her face. She didn't just apologize. She acted, showing me that love isn't only about words but about consistency, humility, and willingness to face one's own flaws. One evening, we sat across from each other in the small cafe where we first met. The aroma of coffee filled the space, mingling with the quiet hum of distant chatter. She reached across the table, her hand brushing mine, a small, tentative touch, heavy with meaning. I don't want to lose you again, she said softly. I studied her face, memorizing every feature as if seeing her for the first time. The woman I had loved, the woman I had mourned, the woman I feared I could never forgive. And yet, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to take the risk, knowing that love at its core is always a gamble. I'm scared, I admitted, voice low. I've spent months scared of waking up to a life without you, and then I spent months rebuilding myself after you left. I don't know if I'm ready to risk that again. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. I don't expect you to be ready. I need you to know that I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you want me to leave. This time I'll fight for us, not run from us. Her words were a promise, fragile yet potent. I could feel the weight of the months of absence, the gravity of the hurt, but also the faintest spark of hope, flickering stubbornly, refusing to die. In the weeks that followed, we rebuilt slowly, carefully. We went on long walks, revisited old haunts, and confronted the ghosts of the past with open hearts. She didn't just talk about her mistakes. She acknowledged them, owned them, and faced them with me. I didn't know if our love could ever be the same. It was something more fragile now, tempered by pain and tempered by forgiveness. But it was ours, raw and real, scarred but alive. One night, months after she returned, I watched her sleep. The gentle rise and fall of her chest, the way her fingers curled against the blanket, reminded me of all we had endured and survived. I traced the scars of the past in my mind, knowing that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other, even when the world conspires to tear you apart. I realized then that betrayal doesn't always end a love story. Sometimes it tests it, burns away the illusions, and leaves the raw, unyielding truth standing. And sometimes, if we dare to risk the pain, we find that love, messy, flawed, and stubbornly alive, can survive. Laura stirred in her sleep, murmured my name, and I leaned over, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. We'll be okay, I whispered, not just to her but to myself. We'll find our way back together. Outside, the world was dark and uncertain, but inside, in the quiet of our shared space, there was light. It was fragile, yes, but it was real. And sometimes that is enough.